name's Eliana Villalobos, and I'm making this video because I just turned 25 and it's a super exciting time for me. I think I'm at a really good place in my life right now, and there's a couple of reasons why this is a big year for me. So I want to talk about some life updates, and then I want to get into some lessons that I've learned in my 25 years of life. So in about a month, I'm going to be graduating law school. Right now I go to the University of Texas School of Law in Austin. I've been able to do the past year and a half from home here in the Rio Grande Valley due to that pandemic. And it's been pretty nice, honestly, being at home because I'm here with my family and here with my friends, and I never imagined that I was going to be able to do law school from home. So I think it's been pretty cool. And what makes it also so great is that after I graduate and I take the bar exam and everything, I plan on working right here. Once I become a lawyer, I plan on working with my parents at their law firm, the Villalobos Law Firm. They do personal injury, criminal, family, civil, immigration, all sorts of things. So it's really exciting for me to start working with them and to learn from them because they've been here for the past 31 years and they're really great attorneys and really great people. So that's one thing I'm really excited about. Right now, I'm not entirely sure in what kind of area of law I'd like to practice, but I know that I plan on doing a little bit of everything and just kind of learning from my parents. Something that I've been excited about recently that I think is gonna be something I'll enjoy is litigation. So I wanna go to court and be like my dad, which he's like one of those lawyers that you watch in movies where it's just very exciting and very passionate. And I feel like that's something that I wanna work on. Now that I've given a little update on my life, which is I'm about to graduate law school, I wanna talk about some of the things that I've learned. So I always think it's important to learn from other people's stories. And I know in the past 25 years, especially in the past like 5 years or so, I've had a lot of life experiences that I never would have imagined that I would have. And I feel like I've learned a lot from them. I'm not saying I'm an expert on life by any means, but I do think that some of the things that I've learned can be helpful to some people watching, hopefully. So the first thing that I want to talk about that I think is a very impactful statement, and it's so impactful that I put it on my Instagram bio, and maybe that doesn't seem like a big deal, but I feel like it represents how I feel about life and something I think people should just consider, first of all. So something that I want you to think about is that you are the author of your own story. So what does this mean? Well, I like to think about my life like a movie. Not to say that everything has to be like all drama and crazy and that sort of thing, but if you think about your life like a movie and you think about the director, you're the director, so whatever you say is basically how your life is gonna turn out. Now, how do you do that? You have to take accountability. Now, a lot of things in your life you can't control, but you need to focus on the things that you can control. Sometimes a lot of people just get through life without really thinking much about it or thinking about what they're doing or what direction they're going, and I've done this a bunch of times too, where I get distracted and I lose track of what my goals are. Something I want you to think about is, who do you wanna be? Now, ever since we were little kids, people are always asking us, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? But something that I think is very important, at least for people like me, because I haven't always known what I want to do. I know I want to be a lawyer. I still don't know what kind of lawyer. I still don't know what exactly I want to do in life. But I know I want to have an impact, and I know I want to help people. So what I've been thinking about more is in terms of the person that I want to be. Something that's helped me a lot is creating a vision board. So sometimes people on their vision board, they'll kind of put pictures of things that they want, like a big house, a nice car, to come on TV, just any kind of goals they have, that way they can stay focused on it. The way I did my vision board was I thought more about like, okay, what kind of person do I want to be? And how did I figure that out? Well, first of all, I'm a Christian, so I know I'm not a perfect Christian, but at least I try to be more Christ-like. I try to get the principles and the values that the Bible has, like being forgiving, being kind to people, not judging. I try to be that type of person. So, of course, I try to be like a Christian. I try to be a good Christian. And then I think about, who else do I admire? Who do I look up to? Well, my parents, my mom and dad, I look up to them because they're very hardworking. They're very generous and kind. They always help people whenever they can. Another person I look up to, Lady Gaga, which if anyone knows me, like, she's a huge role model in my life. She always has been, but for a lot of reasons. She's very confident. She's a little bit weird, but she's not afraid to be herself, and that's something that I think is so important, just being yourself, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And she also uplifts other people. She's someone who inspires people, and that's something that I want to be. So what I did specifically, I went on Pinterest because I love Pinterest, I love looking at quotes, and I looked up different things, like values that I wanted to have. Like making an impact, being inspirational, being kind to everyone. And I printed out those pictures, I put them on a big board that I have in front of my desk. That way every single day when I'm reading for class, or when I'm just reading a book or whatever, just sitting at my desk, I'll see this big board that'll remind me of who I want to be. And I think this has really helped me because it kind of keeps me on track, because sometimes you lose track of who the person it is who you want to be, and like I said, you'll just walk through life aimlessly. It's kind of like if you're trying to get somewhere but you don't have a map or you don't have any type of navigation. Well, the vision board, I kind of see it like Google Maps or something like that, where it's like, okay, this is where I want to be, so this is like the guide for me. These are the principles that I have to follow, and opportunities will come along because of this. If you're following the principles that you have, I think that it really opens up a lot of opportunities for you, and eventually you'll get to where you want to go, even if you don't know where that is right now. The second thing I want to talk about is about just being yourself confidently and boldly. Now, I've read this in a bunch of different types of variations, and people always tell you to just be yourself. And just being yourself is honestly easier said than done. It takes a lot of self-love, and that's something you have to work towards every single day. I know I still struggle with it. I think that everyone wants to fit in and everyone wants to be accepted. And sometimes we change the way we are, that way we can fit in. And I know I've done this a bunch of times where there was a group of people and I've always been a shy person, so I tried to kind of get along with them, and I would think, okay, what should I change about myself to kind of be more like them, even if it wasn't true to who I was. And in the end, if you're doing that, you're not going to be happy because you're not being your authentic self. So you need to just be yourself and be confident about it. Put yourself out there. If there's something different that you want to do, don't be afraid to do it. And of course, there's going to be people who don't like you. That's something that I struggled with, and I still struggle with to this day, where people talk bad about me or people judge certain things that I'm doing. But if I know I'm doing what I feel like is right and something that I want to do and that makes me happy, then it shouldn't matter what anyone else says. You shouldn't pay attention to the people who are just trying to bring you down. And a lot of times those people, the reason they're trying to bring you down is because they're hurting themselves. They feel some type of pain, and that's why they want to spread pain. But don't focus on the people who bring you down. Just focus on the ones who support you and encourage you. And even if you find like there's no one who's supporting you right now, still just continue being yourself and doing what you want to do. Eventually you'll find your crowd. Again, I want to mention my role model, or one of them, Lady Gaga. And she has so many quotes that I love, but one of them is, "I've always been famous, it's just no one knew it yet." And to me, what that means is like when she was over there in New York and no one believed in her, she wanted to be this big pop star, and she was kind of unconventional. People would say that she wasn't traditionally beautiful, so she couldn't become like a pop star like Britney Spears or that type of thing, right? But she never gave up on herself. She says that she always knew she was famous. She always knew that she had something inside of her. Another reason I love her is because she always talks to her fans, or her little monsters. She always tells them to just believe in themselves. So loving yourself and being confident in who you are is something that you have to work towards every day, but it is something that is so rewarding. And while you're believing in yourself, something else I want to encourage, which is the third thing, is to just believe in others. Believe in them, encourage them, support them, spread the encouragement wherever you can. Now this is something that I feel like more people need to do. Helping other people and uplifting them and just making them feel good about themselves really makes you feel good, because you're spreading the happiness. If someone you know is trying something different, let's say like they dye their hair some crazy color just because it made them happy, compliment them on that. Just be nice to people and try to encourage them and uplift them. And if you see someone who's very successful, who's doing something that you want to do, try not to envy them. Don't be jealous of what they're doing. Instead, turn that feeling into inspiration. Look at them and say, wow, how did they get there? I want to learn from them and figure out how I can get there myself. So something that I always like to do is read about people's biographies, or I used to even look at people's LinkedIn just to see what kind of career paths they had, what type of things they did to get to where they are. Or you can even reach out to the person, send them a message and tell them how they inspire you, how you really like what they're doing, and ask them questions, whatever you have, ask them how they got there. I've done that a bunch of times and I've made friends by doing that. And it's a win-win situation. They'll win because they feel, wow, I'm really making an impact and I'm inspiring someone, which is an amazing feeling. And you'll win because you get to learn from their successes. Okay, the fourth thing, and now I'm gonna change direction here. And this is something that I honestly struggled with on and off. And I feel like finally now I'm kind of becoming more mature at the age of 25, right? But the fourth thing I wanna talk about, this is geared mostly to younger girls, is to listen to your parents more. Now, a lot of times, at least for myself, like I just don't like to listen what other people tell me. I don't like to be told what to do. For some reason, I just don't like it. I want to do what I want to do. And my parents, I've never had been a big problem child or anything, but sometimes they would give me advice in certain situations, and I would think they just don't understand me, they don't understand the situation, why am I gonna listen to them? They just don't get it. But the reality is, and I've had to learn this the hard way, is that, think about it, at least for my parents, they're 30 years older than me. They have all these life experiences, they've met all sorts of people that I've never even met, characters that I can't even imagine. And they're telling me based on their experience. They're not telling me because they want to control me. And I used to think like that, but that's not what's going on. They want me to make the right decisions. And to get more specific about this, I've even spoken to parents sometimes, moms and dads who have told me about their daughters who are in certain situations dating certain guys they really shouldn't, or that they know are not good for them. And the parents are all stressed out because obviously they love their daughters and they don't want them to mess up. And I've kind of shared my experiences with them. This is kind of embarrassing, but I mean, I want to help people. So I think by sharing your story, you can help people who are going through similar situations. For example, ever since I was little, I always had a crush on someone. I don't know why, I was born like that, but I just was. And I always wanted to have a boyfriend. And my dad would always tell me, no, you can't until you graduate high school. And I would think, oh my gosh, I was 10 years old, wow, that's in 8 years, I want to have a boyfriend already. And in fact, I actually didn't even have my first boyfriend until the day I graduated high school. So that's how things ended up working out. But I think back on it now. I'm 25, so that was 7 years ago when I was 18. I think about the person I was back then, and I was not where I am right now as far as maturity level. And I would say that maybe even back then I wasn't even ready to have a boyfriend. I still didn't really know who I was. I still hadn't experienced life enough to see what, the type of person I wanted to be, and then putting a second person into the mix, right? But I know when you're young, you just want to do what you want to do and you want to have fun. And that's something else that's kind of within this fourth topic that I want to talk about. Because I was so sheltered, there are certain things where they seemed exciting, and I would kind of be drawn towards that excitement. And because of that, when you're just chasing excitement and you're chasing new experiences all the time, it's like a roller coaster. It's always, you have the high, and then you go down, you just get really low. So, I mean, it's taken a lot of time, and it's taken a lot of listening to Taylor Swift and that sort of thing. But for me to just kind of heal from all of that, if I had just listened to my parents in the first place, I would have been so much better off. And I'm so thankful to God that right now I'm in a good place and everything. But I just want to encourage young girls, because I know you don't want to listen, but you should really listen to what your parents have to say. If anything, just consider it. Just think about it. Why do they tell you things? Because they love you and they want what's good for you. Now, the fifth thing that I want to talk about is that you need to remember that no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, but you can always try to be better than you are. I know I'm saying all this advice, and I'm not saying that I'm an expert in life, but I feel these are very important things that I've learned. And I've made a bunch of mistakes, but something that's important is that you always come back from those mistakes. There's this Lady Gaga quote that I really love, and it says, "I am my sanctuary and I can be reborn as many times as I want." It says something like that, right? But anyway, that's one of my favorite quotes ever, because it's sometimes you do something and you mess up and you just feel so down on yourself. I've been there so many times where I feel okay, I shouldn't have done that. Now everyone's mad at me, or something happened, or I did something wrong, and I'm just sad and I just don't want to do anything. You just don't have motivation to do anything. But you need to remember that you can always build yourself back up. And everyone makes mistakes. I used to think that when I was younger, I used to think, okay, at a certain age, I'm gonna be married, I'm gonna have the perfect body at this age, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have my life together, I'm gonna have my career. But life just doesn't work out like that. You can make plans, of course, you should have an idea of where you want to go, but you can't plan for every single thing that's going to happen to you, and you're going to make mistakes. We're human, it happens. But I want to encourage you that when you are making these mistakes, don't expect perfection from yourself. Understand that that's just part of life, and just pick yourself up and try to be better. So another thing that I encourage you to do is always focus on self-improvement. So look at the areas of your life that you feel need some improvement and really hone in on those. I want to encourage you to challenge yourself. If you're afraid of something, try to face that fear. Now, I'm not talking about spiders and snakes and that sort of thing. I'm talking about things that will help you become better in life, like public speaking, for example. Now, I'm naturally a very shy person, and I've avoided public speaking for as long as I could. When we were in college, we had the option to take a communication class or to take a public speaking class. Like, of course I chose a communication class. And then when I went to law school, I kind of tried to build on that a little bit more, and I started taking like litigation classes where I would practice speaking, but I still was afraid a lot of times to go first. But now I'm really working on that area, and even right now making this video, like, I'm super nervous doing it, but it's still good to challenge yourself, and the more you do something, the more you do hard things, the better you're gonna get at it. So those are the 5 things that I wanted to talk about. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope some of these things that I said might help some of you. If not, that's okay. I just appreciate you watching this video anyway. And if you have any questions about anything, you can message me. I always like to help people wherever I can. So again, thank you so much for watching.